Hello, thank you for joining us. We're starting something new with the library and our wonderful local Snail on the Wall books. We're talking about, because we love books, obviously, and um, just talking about what's out there already doesn't suffice. We've got to talk about what we're excited about that's coming up. And the three of us, are going to be talking about books that are coming out late this month and in November that are just super cool. We all have different areas of interest, so hopefully among this you'll be able to find books that you want to check out or buy. You have both those options. My name is Annie Phillips. I am the manager of the Eleanor Murphy branch in South Huntsville. We also have Amanda Campbell to my left, and she is the manager of the Monrovia branch. And below me, I have Lady Smith, and she is our wonderful proprietor of Snail on the Wall books and has been a huge library supporter for a long, long time. So this is just seems like a natural program we want to do. So thank y'all for joining me. And we're each of us, we've got 4 or 5 books we're going to talk about that we're looking forward to. And I've got a little slides to show you, but since we don't have all the books in hand, you can still see what's going to be happening. So I'm going to pull this up here, and let's start the slideshow. Oops, there we go. Thank you for bearing with me. Technology is wonderful and also can be a bit harrowing. So I've got, we're looking at Annie's November picks, which is me. And I've got several that I have not read them yet, but I do a lot of the fiction ordering for the library system. So these are ones, as you know, we're trying to order ahead. These caught my eye and I thought, wow, this would be cool to read. So the first one I wanted to talk about was The Factory Witches of Lowell by C.S. Mallory. And, you know, anything with witches in the title, I just, you know, I love fantasy and horror and magic. Those are just always fun to read about. So that totally caught my eye. And this is about a group of women who are witches in Lowell, Massachusetts during the, you know, it was a textile mill. So this is based on, you know, some real history. But of course, at that time, period of time, there were really terrible working conditions, and they've had enough, and they are going to go on strike. But in addition to their picket line, they also have some witchcraft to avail themselves of. So, so I thought that sounded pretty cool, and I'm excited to read it. It also puts me in mind of another book that has just come out, Alex E. Harrow, called The Once and Future Witches, and also has a similar with the historical setting. I have not read that one, but I read The 10,000 Doors of January by her, and also a short story that she wrote, and she's an amazing writer. So if you're waiting on the one, you can try the other. The second one is called Little Threats, and it's due out November 10th. This is by Emily Schultz, and this caught my eye. I'm at the age where I came of age, you know, I was a teenager during the, you know, early 90s through the 90s. And so that whole period is always fun to kind of go back and relive. And so anytime I see a book about that, I think, oh, I got to try this out. So this is set in 1993, and it's twin sisters named Kennedy and Carter. And they're very, you know, privileged, have a wealthy family in Richmond, but they're experimenting with, you know, grunge and, you know, all that entails, and rebelling. And there's a party one night, and one of the sisters, Kennedy, she is accused of murdering her best friend, and she goes to jail for a long time, like to 2008 is when she gets out. Obviously, the world's changed a lot. She's still kind of, you know, even her sister is kind of suspicious of her. So I just thought not only the setting in 93 was interesting, but when you see people who sadly have, you know, come out of like jail or any kind of isolation like that, and you just think about how different the world would be, what would that feel like, you know, to reconcile with that. So I am looking forward to that one. and that put me in mind of, I haven't read it, but this also, this came out a few years ago. It's called Girls on Fire by Robin Wasserman. And that also is set in that time period. And it's this, you know, these sort of teenage real type friendships and kind of some disastrous things that happen. So if, again, if you're looking for something else to read while you're waiting for this, that might be a good one. The fourth one I'm interested in is called The Orchard by David Hopen, and it comes out November 17th. And this just sounds really, really interesting. It's a Orthodox Jewish student in New York City, and his parents decide to move to Miami Beach. Completely different world. It's very, you know, glamorous, you know, from what he's been used to with this very structured religious life. And then he's around, he still goes to a Jewish academy, but, you know, the people, the friends that he makes are completely different, used to breaking rules and pushing things. And so kind of, you know, where this, again, you sort of see how my interests lie. I like all these sort of, you know, academic and, you know, secret groups and things like that, like Secret History. That's one of my favorite books. So gives you an idea. And they are influenced by a charismatic rabbi, and they start, you know, testing their religion in all sorts of ways. So that too just struck a nerve with me, and I have that on hold now. And my final one to talk about is called The Sun Collective by Charles Baxter. Charles Baxter won, he was a National Book Award finalist for the book The Feast of Love in 2000. So he's been around for a long time. And this is about an actor, young actor who, you know, he's been doing well, and then he kind of suddenly falls off the grid, goes off the grid. He goes missing. His father thinks he might have spotted him somewhere among a group of homeless people. But his mom knows that he's actually left on purpose. But they're looking for him. They're kind of checking around all the churches and community groups and things like that. And they find, it seems like he may have disappeared into kind of a cult, like a charismatic sort of cult. And they meet another woman who is becoming addicted to a drug that inspires, like, you know, that makes her feel bliss. So it's the intersection of these four characters, and I just thought that sounded fascinating as well. And that reminds me, there's some books I've read in the past that I've enjoyed. Arcadia by Lauren Groff, Drop City, and also Outside Looking In. Those two books are by T.C. Boyle, just kind of where people are sort of, you know, trying different groups and, you know, with mixed consequences. So, so those are the four I'm looking forward to, and I will pass it on to Amanda. Amanda does the nonfiction ordering, and she has some awesome books picked out. So Amanda, go ahead.
Thank you, Annie. Those sound fantastic. The first one I want to talk about today is Clanlands, Whiskey, Warfare, and a Scottish Adventure Like No Other by Sam Hewen and Graham McTavish. This comes out on November 3rd. And you may recognize Sam and Graham from the show Outlander, yay. Sam plays Jamie Fraser and Graham plays Dougal Mackenzie. So they got together and decided to do like a little documentary series traveling around Scotland. So this is the book version. Oh, and the documentary series is going to be called Men in Kilts, and it's also going to come out on Stars, just like Outlander. So look out for that in the future. But the book we get to see earlier, so it's kind of an account of their adventures together. So you'll get Scottish history, culture, some of the travel writing, if you like travel writing, and also some of their personal stories about their relationship, becoming closer as friends and things like that. So that sounds very exciting for both Outlander and travel writing fans. The next one I want to talk about is called We Keep the Dead Close, A Murder at Harvard and a Half Century of Silence by Becky Cooper. This comes out November 10th. And I hate to say it, but I probably won't read this because I'm such a chicken when it comes to true crime. But I know so many true crime fans, so I wanted to go ahead and share it with all you guys because I know there are going to be lots of people excited to read this. It's kind of a blend of the true crime narrative of a 1969 murder of Harvard anthropology student Jane Britton. but the author, Becky Cooper, blends it with like a memoir style account of her investigation. So that's a really exciting twist on your typical true crime read. And it's also going to talk a lot about the culture of women in academia. There's a rumored relationship with a professor. So you also have the cover up by the institution. So you'll get a lot of the culture around that as well. Let's see, the next one is Dearly by Margaret Atwood. This comes out November 10th. Super excited about this. So this is a new book of poetry from the author of the Mad Adam trilogy, which was my favorite, but of course also the author of Handmaid's Tale. And I snagged this description from a review. You'll get themes of love, loss, the passage of time, the nature of nature, and zombies. So I'm intrigued because if you read Margaret Atwood, you know that she does a lot of, she calls it speculative fiction. So there's always that basis in science for whatever she writes. So I'm excited to see her take on poetry and also how zombies are going to fit into this. The next book is the most high-profile book coming out in nonfiction this upcoming month. It is A Promised Land by Barack Obama, and this comes out on November 17th. So this is going to be the first of 2 presidential memoirs. It'll be the political evolution from his 20s through his first term as president. And I've seen reviews so far that I expect to be very introspective and beautifully written. So excited to get to read that one. Okay, the last one I am the most excited about. This is I Want to Be Where the Normal People Are by Rachel Bloom. And if you know Rachel Bloom, she is the star and co-creator of Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, one of my favorite shows. It's so funny. It's also a musical. And she talks a lot about mental health issues. It's a very thoughtful discussion of mental health throughout the series. So fantastic show. Definitely go out and watch that. So this book is a collection of laugh out loud essays about insecurity and fame and anxiety and other issues like that. It's sounding a whole lot like Jenny Lawson to me. If you've read any Jenny Lawson, she also does a very good job of talking about mental health in a really funny way. So it seems like that's going to be a likely pairing. And also, side note, Jenny Lawson book coming out in April. So we'll get to that later on. So those are all of my selections this time. And next we will kick it off to Lady. Thank you.
Okay, well, I'm so glad to be here with the librarians. I own a bookstore that is a bookstore without a store, the Snail on the Wall. So my picks are sort of all over the map. I mean, I love to just kind of read a little bit of everything. So I've got some fiction, one nonfiction, but just different genres. So my first one is already out now. So, but somehow I think a lot of books are getting overlooked with, without author tours and that kind of thing. So you may have missed this one, even though it released a few weeks ago, Cuyahoga by Pete Beatty. And this one is set in Ohio, which is the author's native place, but he is currently in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, working for the University of Alabama Press, teaching writing at the University of Alabama. And so that's one reason I just definitely want our Alabama readers to pick this up, because it is like nothing I have read. I have read it. It is, the word rollicking is the perfect description for this. It's been compared to Coen Brothers movies like Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? It is funny, but it also brings in Greek myth and the Bible. And it's about these 2 brothers. One is big son, one is medium son. And they are trying to build Ohio City and Cleveland, Ohio back in the 1800s. And so it is just, there are some sentences that you'll just go back and read again because they're so funny and so original. It's just a wonderful book. I've not, like I said, not read anything like it. And you won't. So I hope everyone gives that one a try. Okay, then big shift of gears to Group by Christy Tate, which releases at the end of October. I read this on a trip recently and truly devoured it. It is, it's been described as addictive. It's nonfiction, it's a memoir, and it's going to put you a little bit in mind of that book that everyone read in the past year. Maybe You Should Talk to Someone by Lori Gottlieb. Yes, I know. My book club read it. We loved it. We had so much to talk about. Group is edgier. I'm just going to say it is edgier and it is bolder. It is raw. But I couldn't put it down because it's very honest. I mean, this writer, Christy Tate, has a lot of deep-seated issues that she has tried to deal with her whole life. And she ends up, she's, you know, a very successful attorney in Chicago, but she's still got just these issues that she needs help with. And she goes to group therapy. And it is, some of the prescriptions of her doctor, Dr. Rosen, I mean, you just can't really believe it. I mean, they're outlandish, to be sure. And so I couldn't put it down because it was, you know, just outlandish, but also because I wanted to make sure she was going to be okay. I really, you know, was rooting for her, and I got to know her and the other people in her group, and they just established this interesting bond. And it is just a really interesting book. And so she calls it How One Therapist and a Circle of Strangers Saved My Life. And so she does turn out to be okay. That's not a spoiler. You're going to want to know that. So that's good. The next one is The Cold Millions, which I have not read yet. It is coming out soon. It is by Jess Walter. He wrote Beautiful Ruins, which is another novel from a few years ago. And let me say, if you have not read Beautiful Ruins, stop everything and go read it. I just loved it. Did you all? I hope so. I mean, it's very just set in Italy, this love story, just, it kind of puts you in this beautiful place. I think The Cold Millions is going to be completely different. It's set in early 20th century America. It's two brothers who are living this kind of hard scrabble life. And so they are trying to scrape up jobs. They're jumping freight trains, but they've got different dreams for themselves. One is, you know, just wants stability, home, security, a family. The other one wants to be an activist and make the world a better place. And so I think their dreams kind of collide a little bit. And so it's their story. And it says it's got this cast of characters, you know, from early 20th century America. You've got tramps and you've got madams and scoundrels and cops. And so I think it's going to be a great read. I'm looking forward to that one. Okay, my next pick is a murder mystery. Murder in Old Bombay. I'm actually reading this one right now, and it won an award by the Mystery Writers of America this year for first crime novel. And it was originally published under a different title, but one of the rewards for winning this prize is that a big publisher, Minotaur, picks up the book and re-releases it. So that one's coming in November. Murder in Old Bombay, and it is about two women who fall to their death from a tower in the center of the university campus. And it's ruled as suicide, but one of the women's widowers does not believe it was suicide, so he hires an ex-military captain to help him solve the crime. And it begins to uncover all kinds of things with the family, and you really are set in this, you know, you're learning a lot about Bombay's culture as you go along, and this household where the whole family lives together. But it's also very reminiscent of Sherlock Holmes, because he really is trying to channel Sherlock Holmes. And there, from time to time, he's saying, I wish I had my Watson right now to help me out. So that's a really good for those of you that love some mysteries. And then finally, this one, Before the Coffee Gets Cold, is another one like you have not read anything like this. This one was a bestseller in Japan. and it is about to be released in the United States. And so it's by a Japanese author, and it's got that feel of a translated book for sure. It's got that sparse, kind of straightforward Japanese style, but it is about time travel. And these people, you will be transported because you will be in this cafe. And what happens is when you sit in this certain seat in the cafe and follow all the rules, you get to go back to a certain day and time, but you only have a short amount of time that you're there. You can only be there until the coffee gets cold. So you can confront someone. Different people go through the process, and somebody wants to confront someone, someone wants to meet up with someone else, and so you've got to have that conversation really fast before your coffee gets cold. But it becomes a story of, you know, what would you do? Do you have regrets? I mean, it just makes you think about all the big issues. But I've really enjoyed that. It's just a simple, straightforward read, but it will take you somewhere else completely. So those are my picks for right now into November.
Thank you so much, Lady, that and Amanda both. There's just so many wonderful books coming out that it's just, yeah, if you look at my Goodreads list, it's ridiculously long. So, and these will be going on there as well. Well, we have one more that we're going to talk about. Lady and I both realized we had picked this one as one of our picks, and so this is our unanimous pick, White Ivy by Susan Yang, and this one comes out November 3rd, so soon, and it's already, we had planned it to be our Librarian Book Club pick for November, so, and it just, I know from, and I'll let Lady talk about too why she was interested in it, but it's been longlisted for the Center for Fiction's first novel prize. So that tells you something right there. And it's by Susie Yang, and it's about a young woman named Ivy Lynn. And she's a thief and a liar, but you would never know it. She lives outside of Boston. She was raised by her grandmother, who teaches her to kind of steal like small items. And this allows her to kind of blend in and have all the, you know, the trappings of a suburban teen. And she attracts the attention of a wealthy, kind of the golden boy named Gideon Spire. But her mother catches her with, you know, some of this, the theft, and so sends her back to China to live for a while. And then when she comes back, she years later, she's you know, grown into herself, and she reconnects with Gideon and his family, and things sort of become, you know, she's not what she seems. And it kind of reminded me of well, you know, I haven't read the book, but the movie Talon and Mr. Ripley, and just that idea of kind of, you know, these masks that we wear, and you know, people who can just sort of seamlessly build up all these things. It just sounds super cool. So that's why I picked it. And Lady, I know you said you got to read some of it, I think.
Yes, well, I mean, I have dipped into this, but I haven't had time to get to the whole thing. But it's definitely a page turner. I love to find a page turner that also has issues to think about. So I feel like this is that perfect combination. It's about race, it's about class very much, it's about the immigrant experience, but it is also just one that you will just, you know, be able to sit down and devour.
Awesome. So yeah, you can put a hold on that now. You can buy it from Lady, from Snail on the Wall. Whatever you prefer, you can get your hands on it either way. And Snail on the Wall, you can follow on Instagram, Facebook, you know, website. And Lady, are you on Twitter as well?
I'm on Twitter, but I mean, I confess that I don't do it that much, but we do have a newsletter. So if you want to sign up for our newsletter on our website, snailonthewall.com, we do author events, you know, when we can. Some right now, mostly virtual, but a few we've had in person outside. We try to support local authors, but also bring in regional authors. And so anyway, we hope to get back to normal someday and doing that again. And we sometimes have signed copies of books. So we do have signed copies of Cold Millions by Jess Walter, for instance. So, you know, we do try to do the special personal touches.
Yes, and I can say vouch for that. If you live mainly in Huntsville, a lady will actually deliver to your doorstep. I've ordered books and had them. It's so exciting. You've got this wonderful bag from Snail on the Wall on your front step. So, and she does cool book pairings, like different book bundles for book clubs and Mother's Day, different holidays. So yeah, you can check out her site and you'll see all kinds of fun stuff in there. And books for kids too. So, well, this was so fun talking with you both and hearing about these awesome books. We are, for our viewers, we're going to be doing this once a month, so check back again on the HMCPL Facebook page, and I know Lady will be sharing on her page too. And we wish you a happy reading. So thank you, Amanda, and thank you, Lady.
Thank you for having us.
Bye-bye. This was fun.
Bye-bye. Thank you.